Hello, sziasztok, én Boci vagyok, üdv a Gameolik csatornán. Bepróbáljuk a Stanley című játékot, ami azért egy klasszikus puzzle játék, ha jól tudom, és én az igazság, hogy még sose próbáltam ki. De lehet, hogy azért, mert korábban nem nagyon szerettem az ilyen puzzle-ös játékokat. Ez amúgy nem sok ideje van nálam, hogy szeretem őket. Mióta kicsit megnyugodtam, meg lelassultam, azóta inkább hajlok feléjük. Nem, hallottam róla, de nem játszottam vele. Kicsit fényt adunk neki. Azt mondja, hogy PM kell nekünk. Nyugi controller. Ez mire odaérek, 17 lesz. Confirm, jó. Hogy ráugrott a confirmre? Oké, ezt jó tudni. Na nézzük, invert Y, on, apply-olni kell. Ja, mit skippeltem, baszki? Milyenk a 427-es? 428, 429.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Amegyünk a meeting roomba, mert hát ha elfelejtettük. Hol a faszban van a meeting room? X-el, azt hiszem ajtót tudok nyitni, ha kinyílik.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Igen? Bementem a bal... Jó, oké. Én hiszek neked. Narrátor, barátom. És itt a meeting
Yet
room.
there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Irány a főnök irodája, jó. Hát mivel az bezáródott, ezért adja magát. Ezt remélem nem kell magyaráznom. Ez is bezáródott.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Oké.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ó, a főnök szintje milyen jól néz ki.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Ne.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 254. Yet incredibly,
Igen, tudom, csak nem lehet visszamenni narrátorra, kurva anya.
Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Na mindegy, szóval véletlen rányomtam a 3-asra, mert nem tudtam, hogy külön kell aktiválni a pin panelt, vagy már automatikusan nyomja, és hát automatikusan nyomta, de nem volt vissza nyíl, úgyhogy megjegyeztem, bazd meg narrátor, ne kötekedjél. Milyen backroom van a dirigaz, vagy a főnök irodájából? Ilyen háttér. Igen. Nem baj, hogy a fölfelét nyomtam meg, ne zavarjon.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Whoops. Nope. Never mind. Stanley into the
Jó, a szikrázásból azt hittem, hogy akkor a lift tönkrement, hogy az ajtók eddig sorra becsukoltak mögöttünk. Úgy azt hittem, hogy a liftet ezzel zárja le, hogy szikrázott egyet, az csá nincs a lift, de hát van. Úgyhogy kicsit szopatjuk a narrátort, ha már ő is szopott minket. Most nem szikrázol egyet? Meddig kell menjek, hogy használni lehessen újra? Aha! Most meg nem működik.
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Most már jó a lift, hogy ezt végig mondtad, kedves narrátor? Most már jó.
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen.
Tehát, hogyha azt mondom, hogy játszottam már ezzel a játékkal korábban, akkor nem narrálja? Mondjuk. Csak azért narrálja, hogy azért legyen valami fogalmam arról, amit csinálok? Mert eddig kb. Csak megyek.
This time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he?
Erre mit tépsz,
Did you
köcsög?
think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
Nem baj. Megnézzük, mennyi scriptet kapott a narrátor erre a szituációra, hogy föllemegyünk a kibaszott lifttel. Na, hajrá, mondjad, haver.
Oh my God. It's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this.
De jó, a játék fölkészült erre, hogy valószínűleg visszajövünk a liftet. Most már azon gondolkozok, hogy amúgy odalent lehet, hogy nem is találnánk semmit, hanem ez a játék része, amit most mi véletlenül visszajöttünk a lifttel, lehet, hogy ez a játék része. Már hogy gyanítom, hogy semmit nem találnánk odalent. Amíg ezt végig nem zongorázzuk. Már ezt a procedúra.
All right. I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
Hát akkor irány le. Valamibe beletenyereltünk.
Of course. Going back down in the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
Repetitív, na igen. Hopp, szikrázott, megyünk vissza. Kiidegeljük a narrátort, nem érdekel.
You know what? I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow? There we go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises, to have to think and to anticipate and then to marvel at the eventual reveal? This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years, and it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley, because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you, so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better. Oh, good, we're here.
Hoppá. Most már egyre biztosabb vagyok benne, hogy ha levitt volna a lift, akkor semmit nem találtunk volna, mert az lett volna a lényeg, hogy amúgy is jöjjünk. És tényleg ezt végig kellett zongorázni. Le is zárod?
The room where
Le is zárja, aha.
conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
Hát a mi előadásunkra megyünk elvileg.
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door. All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry, you'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley. Okay, it looks like they're ready for you. Go get 'em.
Mi voltunk a 427-es irodában, nem? Kézes lábtörés. Jó. Úgy érzem, hogy el kell engedni a játékot, tehát hogy próbáljak logikát keresni a történetben, mert ahogy a narrátor mesél, úgy lassul a lift, tehát itt valami 420 lesz, valami MK Ultra egy kísérlet, vagy a fasz tudja, de el kell engedni. Én úgy érzem.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. He wanted to stop by the employee
Készült
lounge
rá a
first,
játék, hogy
just
most
to
erre
admire
jövök.
it.
Jó.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for... This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need...
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Nem fogott el, mert nem
I'm trying to make a point.
hittem el, hogy tényleg bárki
I'm
van
trying to
ott
get
az
you to
ajtó
see
mögött, amúgy
something.
tényleg.
Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, everyone in the building, had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. Thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Az a baj, gyerekek, tudjátok, hogy vagyok a játékokban így a túl sok pofázással, ugye? Tehát én lehet, nem tudom, lehet nem vagyok abban a paszban, de hát ez engem kurvára nem érdekel, amit ez pofáz.
And down another was a game with a baby, and he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free.
Jó, 4 óráig tűrtem a pofázását, sőt 20 percig kibírtam, és zseniális. Ez több, mint szoktam. Jó, megyünk már valamerre?
There is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always.
Azért nem tudtam az ajtóhoz oda menni.
Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me?
Nem.
Tell him in a way that
Nem hallgatok rá.
every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself. How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time.
Úgy teszek, mint aki játszik.
And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Megnyugtató volt nyomogatni a kontrollert amúgy közben. Tényleg az illúziója volt, hogy játszok.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either.
Ott le is mehettünk
Wave
volna
of
amúgy.
disbelief, Stanley
Liftel.
decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking
Addig megyünk, amíg
existence
engedi,
in a
hogy
single
menjünk.
moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield.
Mitől emelkedtünk meg egy kicsit?
It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head?
Vagy gyerekek, addig is nyomogatom a kontrollert, ergo elvileg játszok, nem? Tehát
Now the voice was describing
értitek?
itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Hol álltunk meg?
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day,
Azt
was
vágjátok,
interrupted
hogy
by
egy
the
csomó
body
mindent
of a
csináltunk
man who
máshogy,
had
mint ahogy
stumbled through
mondta,
town
és
talking and screaming to
egy tetves
himself, and then
achievementet,
collapsed dead
illetve
from swimming.
trófeát még nem nyomott
And
hozzánk a
although she would
játék.
soon turn to go call for an ambulance,
Ezt
for
viszont
just a
szeretem,
few
hogy
brief
értek,
moments,
hogy nem
she
az
considered
első
the strange
lépésért
man.
gratulál a játék, hogy
He was
sikerült.
obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like.
Viszont ettől függetlenül
she
gecire
thought to
unalmas.
herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Miben, hogy az irodában leszünk? Elmegyünk megint jobbra, és lemegyünk a lifttel, megnézzük ott mi történik.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Utána az a tervem, hogy
Stanley decided to go to the meeting.
követjük a
Perhaps he had
narrátor
simply missed a memo.
utasításait, megnézzük akkor mi történik.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first,
Több
just to
elágazás is van a
admire it.
játékban.
The lounge was sublime, a work of art.
Most ugye bementünk itt az ajtón, és nem mentünk le a lifttel, de mentünk már egyenesen is tovább, úgyhogy most bejövünk,
And so he
és
detoured
lemegyünk a
the
lifttel.
section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back...
Ezt remélem nem megint egy ilyen 10 perces szövegelés lesz a büntetésünk.
From here it's Oh no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. Right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way. No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the
Tudok
game from the
googolni.
beginning.
L2-vel, meg
Suppose we don't wander so
R1-jel.
far off track, hmm?
Nem, R1-jel,
From the
L2-vel
top.
tudok googolni. Az most nyomtam egy L2-t, és pont akkor töltött. Ez lehet, hogy ez azért volt?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Na jó, azt megnézzük még egyszer, mert lehet, hogy én nyomtam el véletlenül L2-vel. Mondjuk most, vagyis hogy R2-vel most...
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely
Ez új.
started the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Hát akkor menjünk.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that? You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Nem látjátok a szemöldökömet, de fölkúszott a homlokom közepére.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Menjünk tovább az ajtós szobáig.
Still missing the doors. Did we make a mistake following the line? Perhaps we could have found the story on our own.
Ilyen cikcak nem volt benne korábban.
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Becsuklom az ajtómat, hagyjál békén. Cikcak felé eljöttünk már.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Bár azt most megmondom neked, hogy hamarabb fogom megunni, mint hogy ki tudná idegelni, az a helyzet.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart.
Szerintem a 8. újraindítás
Am I just
éljük
supposed to
most, nem?
forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget?
Hogy
My
van?
mind goes blank simply because
Find the line
on this
again. Being
thing,
following the line.
wall.
Is a replica of the
Well,
is
who consulted
again that
me?
after
Why don't
my
I
story here.
decide?
Narrator
Why
starts
don't I
again.
get a say?
There is no longer an
Is it
office,
really-
simply black
No,
space.
it can't be. I don't want it to be.
There in the-
I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want
Próbálom belőni, hogy most
it
még.
on. I don't
Narrátor.
crap like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I
Stanley
do it. I won't do it.
Anyway.
And the timer stopped.
A 8. restartnál a narrátor elmegy,
Did we break the cycle?
és hosszú idő
Whatever
után
it is
Stanley
that made this
meghal.
schedule, how would we even know?
Az a baj, nem tudom, hogy
Hol a
hanyadik
conference?
restartnál járunk.
Will something happen?
Az sem biztos, hogy hihetünk a kiírásnak.
So,
Find the line again. De ez a 4. restart.
I guess now we just wait.
Mi annál kicsit tovább
In
tartunk
some
amúgy.
way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're all
Leülnék azért,
life
addig,
is
amíg
about
ezt
the journey
elpofázod.
and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you... All of his co-workers were gone.
Van narrátor.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
Most azt csináljuk majd,
the
amit
door on
mond.
his left, yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be?
2-8-4-5.
In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned
Megvárjuk, mert mi van, ha
secret
változik
pin
az is.
number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Az viszi még amúgy a játékot a hátán, hogy a portál játék settingjei közt mászkálok, tehát íróasztalok, stb.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Mi vagyunk a 247-es.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his
Egy darab
co-workers
puzzle-t nem
gone?
oldottunk meg,
How
haver.
had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold?
De én nem hiszek neki amúgy
As
már.
sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Mi a trükk az mozivászon?
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Beat the game. Get your first trophy. Trófea jár azért, hogy kaptam egy trófeát. Zseniális. Jó.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had...
Ez azért zavar, hogy oké, hogy Stanley beat the game. Új content. Szóval azért zavar, megmondom őszintén, mert nem volt ilyen, hogy beat the game, csak csináltam, amit mondott. Ha elsőre megcsinálom, amit mond, akkor
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Aladjunk. Aladjunk.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Rohadjatok meg.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good. Yes, I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market reason other than to make an easy...
Jó, ez jópofa
Don't get me started on the
kikacsintása
level of
a
craftsmanship that's gone into
játékgyártók
it. In
nagyvállalatokra.
fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I am on Twitter and hold them personally accountable.
Azt értitek, hogy azért a Portál 2-ben például a Cave Johnson és végigpofázza a tesztelést. De azt fele ennyire sem kurvára unalmas. Sőt, szórakoztató. Sőt, nem állít meg a játék, hanem közben haladhatok is. De az a helyzet, hogy csávókámnak ott olyan szövege van, hogy inkább állok félre valahol és hallgatom végig. Itt viszont idegesít a csávónak a hangja, és inkább mennék tovább. Most hol a faszba vagyok?
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Ratman nincs itt valahol? Vagy egy easter egg, vagy valami? Tudjátok, a csávó a portából, aki eltűnt a szellőzőben.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special, and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just
Végre valami változatos.
secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, and over here, is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Köszönöm, ideje volt.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation, boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise. These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no, oh God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Ez a Half-Life-os környezet amúgy.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with
Ez igaz, ezzel egyetértek.
proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny!
Bizony nem vagy vicces.
I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have to stick them. Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45... Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had...
Na végre elkusolt. Negyedegy. Fasz negyedegy, na. Mindjárt egy. Kiélvezném a csendet, de az a helyzet, hogy csak az egy gombunk van interakció véget, és hát valaminek történnie kéne, mert amúgy meg geci unalmas. Amúgy egy jópofa bándő meg minden, és nyilván van, aki erre gerjed. De gyerekek, hogyha az In a Rays of Light-ra írtam azt, hogy sétaszimulátor, akkor el kell ismernem, hogy tévedtem, mert ez a sétaszimulátor. Séta és pofázás szimulátor. Én megmondom őszintén, és ez már az összegzés itt a végén. Én hallottam erről a játékról, rengetegszer ajánlotta fel a Steam is, hogy vegyem meg, és tudom, hogy a Valve alatt jött ki, tehát hogy valamilyen mod volt, azt hiszem Half-Life mod talán, és mindig is érdekelt, mert azt hittem, hogy egy ilyen fejtörős puzzle, ahogy ezt az elején is mondtam a játéknak, de igazából ez nem puzzle, ez egy ilyen negyedik falat ledöntő pofázó szimulátor, és a szöveges sem kurva vicces, ahogy ezt a kommentek is írták, meg az értékelések, ez gyerekek, ez nekem gecire unalmas. És megmondom őszintén, csak azért húztam ennyi ideig, hogy ne 20 perces legyen a bepróbálva videó. Nem tudom, hogy ez most hangulat kellene, vagy nagyon elfajzott fanatizmus, de engem nem fog meg, tehát... Még az a reményében bennem, hogy hogyha eleget nyomogatom, akkor eljutok oda, ahol a Portál 2-be felébredt a chill. Skippelem az időt, tudjátok.
The game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to...
Na mi a fasz,
It was meant to
visszatértél?
speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed. The end is never the end, 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 is never the
Jó, néha megmosolyogtad, de amúgy idegesítő.
end, is never the end, is never...
Jó, alakul. Portálosodik a setting. Előbb kinézünk a fényre. Mik ezek odakint, tripodok? Elhaltak a növények. Valami van kint. Most van a Half-Life támadás? Akkor is úton járunk. Ilyen vonyítás. Aha. Jó van. Végleg megdöglött? Úgy tűnik végleg megdöglött. Azért körülnéztem volna egy kicsit. Azt ennyi?
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like.
Faszal.
Give me a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
Még újabb content.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Csak úgy kíváncsiság vége, gyerekek. 12 trófea van. Quit the game and start it again. A 430-as ajtón 5-ször klikkelj. Csináld meg a Stanley Parable-t 4 perc 22 másodperc. Set all setting sliders in the menu to all the available numbers. Ne játsz a Stanley Parable-el 10 évig. Ez nem most lesz kiplatinázva, gyerekek. Igen, tényleg ez.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the parable and about...
Azt hiszem egy lead videóban, ami már nem lead videó, abban meséltek erről korábban. Ez a játékosok 14%-ának megvan.
So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really. Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features. For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, What do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you roll Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a...
Hát próbálja ki valamit. Érdekes, második indításnál mást ír a játék, és azt írja a legtöbb ember, te megköszönjük, hogy beállítottam az időt, a legtöbb ember 12 hagyja, azt csá. Állítsam a kedvenc időmre. Visszaenged a játékba, köszönjük szépen. Na, hogy érti, hogy az összes csúszkát, ameddig tudom? Hoppá. Jó, hát beállítottuk. Aha, megvan a welcome back.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
Kicsit
decided to go to the
érzékeny,
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
2, 3, 4,
Oh, please.
5.
Are you really just doing this for the trophy?
Igen, bazd meg, a trófeáért
5
csinálom.
times? Is that all you think a trophy is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks?
Igen.
Now, suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing
20.
effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4,
No, I'm
5,
still
7,
not
8,
feeling
9,
it.
10.
I want this trophy to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way no matter the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Mit mondott? 417-szer próbáljam a 417-es ajtót? Melyik volt?
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
Anyát picsája. Valamiért éreztem, hogy ez nem lesz egyszerű. Bocsánat. 437-esnek nincs is ajtaja, geci. Ide itt van. Bocsánat.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
Szopjál lovat. Szophat a trófeáért. Mondjuk mindegy, mert a 10 éves az nem lesz meg.
Now, back to door number 437.
Komoly?
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Rohagy meg.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
Hogy megyek föl?
Yeah.
Eltűnt a csúszka.
Yes, this is great. You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
Ez szopat. Nincs 416-os. Ezt a csúszkásot lehet, hogy félreértem, vagy van egy pár csúszka, amit még nem teleszalaz. Ez a beállítások miatt van.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Na jó. Visszaállítjuk a dolgokat. Jó. És kvittelünk. Jó. Igen, kb. Azt kérted, azt csináltam. Super, go outside. Ez melyik trófea? Ha! Jó van gyerekek, itt a vége. Agyfasz a játék, tényleg agyfasz. Ennyi, tényleg látni kellett, amit láttatok, vagy amit láttatok kellett, azt láttatok. És nem is tudom, hogy kötött le ennyi ideig. Nyilván a trófeák gyűjtögetésével ment el az idő, illetve azoknak a megpróbálásával. Ezt a 4 perc 22 másodpercet ezt nem hiszem, hogy meg tudom csinálni, ha a játék nem engedi, azt viszont nem akarom megvárni, hogy majd a játék megengedje. Úgyhogy hát figyeljetek, próbáljátok ki, hogyha úgy érzitek, hogy ez titeket lenyűgözött. Az az igazság, hogy már az első 20 percnél untam a csávó pofázását, de mivel hogy a szerves része a játéknak, így erről szól a játék, hogy ez pofázik közben hozzátok. Nem az a lényeg, hogy beateld a játékot, illetve legyőzd a játékot, illetve a gépet 5 perc alatt, hanem az, hogy menjél mindenfele, fedezd fel az egészet, és próbálj meg mindent is csinálni benne. Viszont ez nekem már 20 perc után unalmas volt, úgyhogy nem is értem, hogy jött össze a 2 óra belőle. De hát ez van, úgyhogy sziasztok, legyen szép napotok, vigyázzatok egymásra és vigyázzatok magatokra is. Ciao.